Good day, friends and family. This is Pastor Green. Grace and peace be unto you from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ, who is our resurrected, reigning, and returning Redeemer. I hope that this half of the day has been well with you and for you. Thank you so much for joining us again on this segment that we are calling The Conversations. For those of you who've been trekking with us for the past several weeks, you know that um, almost the past 2 months, we've been in a sermon series through the book of Psalms that we've entitled The Songs in the Key of Life. And our objective has been to survey the scale of human emotionality. So we found ourselves in the key of A for anxiety, in the key of B for bemusement, in the key of C for contrition, and even the key of D that we talked about despair. Today we found ourselves living in the key of E, and I am so excited to welcome to this platform, this segment, one of my classmates. She recently just was married. She was just recently married, and I had the privilege of attending her ceremony. Help me welcome Mrs. Denitra Beasley. Come on in, Denitra.
Awesome. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. I had to figure out what I needed to do first with this. I was like, okay, yeah. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for consenting and agreeing to spend this time with us. We really appreciate it.
Of course, of course. Anytime I get to talk about mental health and then mixing God with that,
yeah,
that's right up my alley.
Yeah. So before we get started, tell us about a little bit about yourself, your credentials, more specifically.
Of course. So I've been doing mental health for 12 years. I started off doing inpatient as a tech, but I've been licensed for going on 5 years. 5 years. So my background is in clinical mental health counseling, marriage and family therapy, and Christian counseling. However, I always give the disclaimer, if you're not a Christian, that does not mean I'm here to convert you. I just let people know that you don't have to be a Christian in order for us to sit down and talk.
Sure. All right. Thank you so much. And again, this is my classmate. I've known her since third grade, magnet school?
Yes, it's been a long time.
Okay, that's as far as we'll go. That's as far as we'll go.
I was about to say, because I can take us back.
Yeah, that's as far as we'll go. That's as far as we'll go. But also, you're the youngest of the mental health professionals that I've had to date. So I thank you for agreeing, milestones and all that kind of stuff. So I thank you again.
By the grace of God, thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Like I said, we've been doing this series on human emotionality. Mm-hmm. And from your perch as a professional and as a human, what can you tell us about the power of emotions?
So that's a really good question. I just wanted to put this out there. Human beings overall are emotional beings. We were created to feel and experience different things such as anger, happiness, excitement. And honestly, a lot of the things that we experience, a lot of the emotions and feelings that we experience are universal. You can go to Asia, and if someone is smiling, you can almost infer that they're happy. They found joy somewhere throughout their day. Whether you're in Beijing, Japan, I don't know, Russia, regardless of where you are, if someone has a certain look on their face, a furrowed brow, it's like a questioning thing. It could be anger, somewhere in that realm. But regardless of what our nationality is, we're emotional beings. So when we think, we automatically, usually, our first thought is that of emotion.
Sure.
If I were to, I thought about this when we initially brought up the topic way back in the day, before you and I were even thought of. A young man named Sigmund Freud, who's supposed to be the father of psychology, came
Sure.
up with this whole id, ego, and superego. And just to break that down a little bit, what that is um, basically our id is our primal version of ourselves. It's more selfish. It's more, I guess, emotion driven.
Sure.
It's more all about me right here, right now. And our ego goes from there, and it's more reality based. It's more, okay, what can I actually do about what I want right now? And then our super ego is going to be more so of our rationale. Okay, it's our more logical based thought process that we have. So you have emotionality, reality, and logicality. Logical. A lot of times this is portrayed in the media. Some of you may have even seen it. It's portrayed as like the angel and the devil on your shoulder.
Sure.
Just to put it in layman's terms, that's the id, the ego, and the superego. The devil would be the id. That's
Sure.
the one encouraging you to fight for yourself. This is all about you. Get it how you live. Of course, the person that's in the middle will be who you are, the reality base. Okay, I can't do this. Maybe I should try this. And then the superego will be the angel, the one encouraging you with the logical version of your emotion. So yeah, when I thought about envy, that's what it reminded me of, because a lot of times when we find ourselves envious, a lot of times we tend to go based off of that id principle, based off the selfishness. I don't know if that makes sense.
Sure.
Uh-huh.
But from what I'm hearing you saying is, as it relates to our emotional selves, what I'm hearing you saying is there often can be this kind of tug of war, this kind of battle, this kind of war, I guess, war within, right? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
And what I guess what you were saying was that it's germane to the human experience.
There you go.
Yeah.
Definitely. So when you think about how your emotions come about, if something happens to you, the first thing that you think or feel, depending on what it is, can drive your behavior.
Sure.
It can drive your thinking patterns.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So thank you for that. And you touched on it. Of course, we're living in the key of E today, which we've labeled envy. Another question is, what can you tell us most specifically about the emotion envy? From a professional and even a personal perch.
Definitely. Envy typically is based off of our own, when we really delve into it. Envy can be a lot. I'm not gonna say a lot of times, but sometimes it tends to hit us where we feel as if we've fallen short in our own lives. So wherever we feel as if we're not doing well, we're not exceeding like we want to, we're not growing like we want to, we're not satisfied in certain areas of our lives like we want to be, it can lead to us feeling a certain type of way.
Sure.
Especially when we see someone else with those things.
Yeah. So I tried to say in the sermon, I've been trying to, consult, psychologists and science behind these definitions, so I'm not just making it up. And what I tried to say in the sermon was that envy is the personal pain caused by the desire or the advantages of others.
That's really good. That's really good. And
yeah, so go ahead.
Well, it just reminded me of a Bible verse that said, and it probably has nothing to do with this, but it just popped up in my mind. But how the Bible says that we're born into this world full of sin. We're born into this world a few days old, and yet we're full of sin. So I'm not going to say we feel envy from day one. Maybe day two. Okay. But just going back to that emotion aspect of it, that emotion that we feel, it can be overwhelming and overpowering, especially when we realize that there's someone else out there that has what we want. So you're absolutely right. It always amazes me how we can tie Bible into mental health in real life, because it's the life that we live. Like, this is our lives, and the Bible is supposed to be our guidebook to follow. It talks about all of those things to give us a direction of which way to go and how to handle these things.
Sure. And I agree totally with what you're saying. Here's a quote, and I thought I tried to mention this in the sermon, but maybe we can flesh it out a little bit more. It's really in line with what you've been talking about, as relates to envy being relational, right? Bertrand Russell says that beggars do not envy millionaires. They envy other beggars who are seemingly more successful.
That's good. So they're on the same playing field, basically.
Sure. So it's a comparative sport, right? Yeah. So it's like, again, I say envy is relational, and like I said, you're the youngest, so I get to talk to you about how this reflects itself in culture. I think we have to really be mindful of envy, because, and I'm not going to blame it exclusively on this, but social media can really put you in the mindset and mentality to compare yourself and compete with others.
Yes.
So would you mind fleshing that out for us? Even, again, we're Christian. Of course, I'm a pastor, you're a Christian, but we can speak, freely, professionally and personally. Would you mind, sharing?
Of course. I think it's important to note here that social media is not necessarily reality.
Sure.
With that being said, I'm going to say it's not reality, because it's not going to show you everything.
Sure.
Like, there's so many filters being placed over our lives on social media, not necessarily a physical filter like with doggy ears or something like that, black and white or anything like that, but filters as in, I'm going to show you what I want to show you.
Sure.
I'm going to show you how I'm winning, but I'm not going to show you how I'm staying up every night and I cannot sleep because my thoughts are racing, and how I lost everything and I almost went broke. My bank account on zero. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
I don't show you that. I don't show you the lows always. Some people, I think it's interesting to know, some people have gotten comfortable with themselves to actually display that version of themselves. But when we think about how we're on social media, I don't know if you guys are on it more than 3 hours a day, but that's expensive. When we think about how we're on social media and how viewing that for that period of time and absorbing those things in our mind, that truly has an effect on how
Sure.
we perceive ourselves and our situation. You know, I
Sure.
can see people who been building their house. Moment of transparency.
Go ahead.
Um, my husband and I, we purchased some land because we want to build a house, of
Sure.
course. So on social media, I follow like these home building groups and different things like that, you know, just so I can kind of get some pointers, kind of know what to expect, kind of do some research, different things like that. Now, we've purchased the land and I'm seeing all of these people with these beautiful houses, you know, not a crumb on the floor. Don't even look like people live in these houses. All these interior designers whose houses are completely amazing. Now, I'm also seeing people who have been like, hey, this good thing after this good thing has happened with my house process. This is where we are now. We're closing all this. Now, here's the thing. Going back to spirituality, I don't know why this just popped up in my spirit. When I see those things, I have the ability, if I'm not mindful, like you said, that was a really good word. If I'm not mindful of how I'm allowing the things that I'm seeing to affect me, it can easily make me feel as if, what am I doing wrong?
Sure.
Where did I go wrong? How am I not there yet? I'm doing everything right. I'm where I'm supposed to be. My money's right. All this other kind of stuff. What's wrong with me? Why
Sure.
they get to do this? You know, all of these thoughts can have the ability to contaminate my mind if I'm not mindful. That was a really good word. So
Sure.
here's the thing. It can also allow us to step outside of the will of God if we want to be completely honest.
Sure.
Because I see what other people are doing, and I feel like I need to be there too. This is just for an example per se. So now I'm just gonna do what I feel is necessary. I ain't finna consult God. I ain't finna do none of that stuff because I need to be where they are. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that can get me in a whole lot of unnecessary heartache because I've allowed envy to come
Sure.
in and control my emotions and control my thinking process and my behaviors. And now I've taken out I don't know, a loan that I can't afford. I don't know.
Sure.
That's just pertaining to that situation, just for example's sake. But
Yeah.
that's how envy can affect us. That's what it can look like.
Sure. Sure. It's real funny because even in the psalm that I married with this emotion, the psalmist says that I'm about to fall out with God. I am about to miss the goodness of God because I'm focusing on something. I had been focusing on something that wasn't reality.
Wow.
So like even some time ago, I got this real good picture of it. I'm trying to, I'm back in the gym trying to work out, and my trainer invited another gentleman to our workout session. And
yeah,
I'm sitting there a little nervous. I'm uncomfortable usually around people that I don't know, and he's smaller than I am. It's like, why would you, anyway. But so I'm worrying about catching up to my trainer and this other gentleman. However, when we started working out and started getting active and all this kind of stuff, I discovered that even though he was smaller than I was, he was not in better shape than I was. Like, he wasn't fit to do the exercises. He was about to, go out, and I'm, catching my breath trying to encourage him, but it's like, Yeah. So it's, I mean, so these pictures and images that we um that creep into our minds that we are envious over, these advantages that we believe that other people have, and when we compare ourselves and compete, that really, and like you said, that can really put you and place you in a mental health crisis.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so we are almost out of time, but this last thing, what can you tell us? And of course, um, relationship with God is, I believe, is is primary,
Yes.
right? Relationship with God, rightly relating with God is primary. But
Yes.
under relationship with God, as a professional, what can you tell us about coping and treatment of this, envy thing?
That's a really good question. Really quick, I just wanted to go back. You said something a few seconds ago, and it resonated with my spirit. You were saying how it could definitely affect how envying other people can definitely affect our mental health. Um, the Bible says that to complain is a sin. Comparison is another form of complaining. Um, and sometimes I tell my clients, when we find ourselves comparing ourselves to other people, it's almost as if that's where depression starts. Because now I feel like there's something wrong with me, if that makes sense. So that's what it reminded me of. Now, as far as treatment options, you said something that was really good earlier, and I think we should go back to that. It was called mindfulness. Mindfulness, if you don't want to sit down and talk to anyone that's a professional like myself, then mindfulness is the way to go for you. Now, the thing about mindfulness is it's easier said than done. Being mindful of what you're thinking, what you're feeling, where these feelings are coming from. It takes a more intense level. But if that's what you want to do on your own, then have at it. You can do all things through Christ, which strengthens you. Now, there are some therapists that also specialize in mindfulness. There are some therapists that are going to teach you how to be mindful through you going in and talking to them. Now, I'm not going to say envying other people requires medication management. I don't see it being that serious, but there may be some underlying issues that are not pertaining to envy, like, well, that aren't necessarily envying, but like depression or anxiety that you may be able to talk to your medical provider about.
Do you think? Well, pause. Excuse me for.
Uh-huh.
Do you think that envy could possibly be a gateway emotion that lands us into depression, anxiety? Because that's what you just said, pretty much, right? So our it's really a web of things, right? Yeah, our emotions. Yeah.
We have to take some time to ourselves, like not with those people who are going to encourage us into the wrong direction. Just take some time to ourselves to just figure out what it is that we want, as far as the trajectory of our life, where we want to go with our life. Are we okay with being where we are? And if we're not, what do we want to do about that? That way, when we do see other people with whatever they have, with the boo that they want, with the job that they want, we can know within ourselves, okay, I'm working towards that. I'm getting that done. I got mine coming in about 2 years if I just keep at it. Allow ourselves to refocus on ourselves. By doing that, it kind of helps to, I'm not going to say get rid of envying behaviors or envious behaviors and thoughts, but it'll kind of help to redirect us, if that makes sense.
Sure. Because like ambition is not wrong in and of itself, right?
No, not at all. Please
wanting upward, mobility,
yes.
wanting relationships.
Yeah.
That there's nothing wrong with that. That's a disclaimer. I mean, well, full disclosure or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's when we compare and compete, and then allow that to reflect itself into how we feel and how we judge our lives, treat others and judge our lives. Yeah. So we're wrapping it up. Thank you so much, Miss Beasley. Can you tell the good people? Can you tell the good people where they might be able to find you, just in case something you spoke resonated in their spirit and they want to reach out to you professionally?
Okay, definitely. Professionally, you can find me at Primary Health Services Center. I'm one of the 6 amazing providers there. So if that's something that, if you do want to just sit down and talk, sometimes we just need someone to talk to. If you feel like you need someone to talk to, that's where you can find me. Spiritually, you can catch me at Greater Faith Church.
Got it.
But yes, that's where you can find me professionally. I'm also on Facebook, Denitra Beasley. Sometimes people come into my inbox wanting resources for therapy, and I don't have a problem with sending out those types of resources. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can catch me at Denitra Beasley. I don't mind sending out resources.
Great. All right. Thank you so much, Miss Beasley. Again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your perspective.
Thank you for having me. You take care.
You too. Friends, we are done for the day. That's all, folks. Thank you so much. We hope and pray that you have a good and blessed and prosperous rest of your Thursday. Go in the grace of God, and may the grace of God go with you. God bless you.
Bye.